Viewers, welcome to our Wapadela live show, which has been brought to you today by Timvele in Mount Pepos, Zambia, in conjunction with Litovia TV. I am your presenter today, and that's Brian Kachiza, and I'm proudly deaf, being assisted by my sign language interpreter, Blessing Sokauta. Today we've got an interesting topic, viewers, which is on beyond awareness, disability inclusion in national development and the dialogue. So national decision making and the dialogues. So it's so interesting, viewers, and knowing that this topic can serve as a starting point for discussions and initiatives aimed at promoting inclusivity policies and practices. So here I've got my guests for today. We can start with Mr. Chanda. You can introduce your name and the background we're coming from.
My name is Moses Chanda. I'm a disability activist. I've been an activist for almost 30 years, sitting on various boards of different organizations, both here in Zambia and abroad. So this is what I've been doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much. Yeah. You can also introduce your name, madam.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers. Good afternoon, listeners. Because I'm already including the visually impaired who are just listening. I am DONGO MUBANGA. I'm a visually impaired person. I've been in this space for the past more than 30 years now. And in these 30 years, I've been very active in awareness of issues to do with persons with disabilities. I belong to many organizations that carry out this movement of persons with disabilities. I'm currently a board member of one of the organizations, which is ZAFOD, including Zinado and Abwenzi. I've also been a board member of Zambia National Federation of the Blind. So I'm quite familiar with issues that have to do with persons with disabilities and bringing out awareness of our needs and rights. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Okay, so viewers, we are all encouraging you, and please, you're welcome, and feel free to bring in your comments and participation on this today's topic. Yeah. So straight away, we'll start with Mr. Chanda. Yeah. What structures are currently in place to ensure the participation of individuals or persons with disabilities in national decision-making processes?
Structures that are available to enable persons with disabilities participate in national processes. Well, we've got a number of them. The first one actually had the civil society themselves, organizations representing persons with disabilities. These are organizations that advocate for mainstreaming disability in all national programs and policies. Then we've got also the Zambia Agents for Persons with Disabilities. This is a quasi-government development agency which has been mandated to provide services for persons with disabilities, though the capacity is not very much. Then we also have different initiatives of persons with disabilities themselves who want to forge themselves upwards. They make different initiatives so as to enable them, to enable their voices be included in the mainstream agenda. Then of recent, we've got what we are calling the political participation dialogue. This is a newly formed organization that has been, whose main mandate is to allow persons with disabilities participate in political processes. You might agree with me, Mr. Moderator, that in the past, the voices of persons with disabilities in the political scenario has been silent. In Parliament, you wouldn't find persons with disabilities. In local councils, you wouldn't find persons with disabilities. Now, these institutions, Parliament and local authorities, they make, like Parliament, they make laws which affect persons with disabilities. So it is important that persons with disabilities themselves also are in Parliament, so that the laws that are made, they are part and parcel of the laws that are made, so that, because we in disability, we've got a saying that nothing about us without us. And in Bemba, for those that hear Bemba, we say, umuchere ukufina, baumfa kuufinine, kuusendele. Somebody, just to translate, somebody who is carrying a heavy load. One would think the load is light, but somebody who is carrying it is the one who is able to feel how heavy it is. So, persons with disabilities should be participating where laws are made, because laws that are made in Zambia also affect persons with disabilities. So that is why we formed the Persons with Disabilities Political Dialogue to advance the political ambition for those persons with disabilities who want to be in the political space, so that they can also find themselves in these institutions that make laws, like Parliament and local councils. So these are the things that we have as of the structures that we have as of at the moment.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, and then now on that one, yeah, how do we measure, or how do you measure the effectiveness of those structures in promoting inclusion?
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, thank you very much for the question. I'm very, very thankful for that question. You see, disability has been a neglected issue for a long time. That is why us who are in the disability movement have been advocating, have been crying, have been lobbying government, civil society organizations, and others who are involved, so that they mainstream disability in all their programmings. You know, Mr. Moderator, that when government is making programs, they don't make programs only for the able-bodied. They make programs also for persons with disabilities. It might interest you to know that out of the 20+ million Zambians, it is estimated that 15% of all Zambians have got disability. Now, if you can translate 20 million and then 15% of 20 million, I'm not a good mathematician. I didn't like mathematics at school. So those that know mathematics. So 15% of the entire Zambian population has got one disability or the other. Now, when we are making laws and policies, if we exclude the 15%, that is a huge population to exclude. That is a huge population to exclude. And if we exclude that 15% should be, if my mathematics serves me correct, that should be about 2-3 million people. Now, if we exclude 2 million, how do we expect even development to take place if we leave out the 2 million? Because even the 2 million disabled persons are supposed to participate in the improvement of the country. Now, if we leave them behind, how do we expect Zambia to develop fully? So, what we are saying, government ministries, government agencies, civil society organizations, and all institutions that serve public purpose, that offer services to members of the public, they should include persons with disabilities. Because persons with disabilities are also part of society. Persons with disabilities live within communities. I've never seen a community which comprise of only persons with disabilities. Persons with disabilities live in society with other persons who are not disabled. So, whenever we are making our appeal to government, to civil society organization, to development partners, to everyone who is offering services to members of the public, let us mainstream disability. Let us include disability, because disability is also extremely important. As I said, let us not leave the 2 million disabled persons who are in Zambia, because once we leave the 2 million disabled persons, then the country cannot develop as it should be.
Wow,
thank you so much.
That's quite interesting, and thank you so much. Yeah. And we'll now shift to Madam Dongo. Yeah, we can give her the mic. Madam Dongo, we want to know. Okay. Yeah, yes. Thank you so much. We want to know what barriers do individuals with disabilities face when trying to participate in national dialogues?
Thank you so much. There are quite a number of challenges that we face when we want to also participate in national dialogue. The most cardinal one is, though it has the narrative has changed of late, because there's the awareness that has been brought about. So most of the people or institutions that we are dealing with would have known about the issues that we face. So one of the challenges is that the people that we are approaching may not know to what extent our needs and rights are. So with the coming up of us, bringing out all these awareness and dialogue, the barrier is being broken. There's that one. There's also the communication barrier, where the format of how information is being given to us is not reasonable, accommodating especially the visually impaired, the blind, and the hearing impaired. So this comes as a challenge where somebody who goes to an institution and perhaps they are of hearing impairment and they do not find somebody to translate. So they will find all those challenges. This is why we have come up with a strong voice of advocating to say that every institutions, especially the service providers, should have a translator in hospitals, in schools, in the defense service, especially the police, when somebody is reporting of any harassment or maybe even just theft. There should be a minimal interaction with somebody who has been trained to do sign language. That is one. And I mean, that is one of them. And also the other barriers would be where you go to these institutions and they do not have the so-called focal point desks that will deal with issues that have to do with persons with disabilities. As such, one is meant to, go from one office to another because they don't even know where to take you, because even the people who are working in those places do not really know that they are supposed to handle issues that have to do with persons with disabilities. But slowly and steadily, we are getting there with all this awareness that we are bringing out in almost all these areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You would want to add on,
Yes.
Mr. Chan?
I would want to add on what my colleague has alluded to. The most important barrier that we persons with disabilities face is access to services at the same level with others. You know that as persons with disabilities, services, we should access services that are being offered at the same level with others. If it is education, education should be provided to persons with disabilities at the same level with others. If it is employment, employment should be provided to persons with disabilities without discrimination. It should be provided at the same level with others. When it comes to social services like loans, things to do with entrepreneurship, things to do with things like that, all those should be at the same level with others. Now, the problem we have is these things that I've mentioned are not provided at the same level with others. You know that when a person is disabled, the impairment is a limiting factor. When it comes to education, in schools, right now we are encouraging inclusive education. Now you find maybe in a school there are 90 pupils, and then there is one child or two children who are persons with disabilities, or who are hard of hearing, or who are visually impaired. That teacher who is teaching 90 children will not have the time to attend to those children who are disabled, who have visual impairment, or who are hard of hearing, or who are deaf. So it means the education that those children with disabilities will receive will be compromised. They will not be at the par with those who are not disabled. Equally, even in employment, discrimination is extremely rife. When you might have good papers, but when they just look at you to say this is a person with a disability, that negative, that stereotype kicks in to say this is a disabled person, because people have got those myths already, from traditional, from way back. People have got such kind of myths to say, no, disabled persons cannot perform at the level or cannot perform like those without disabilities. So discrimination kicks in. Even in all other spheres of life, even community meetings and even other things, there is discrimination. Then the other barrier that we have, like right now, we are going into elections. Elections, right now we are, the Electoral Commission of Zambia will be releasing a lot of information on television, on radio, and on different media platforms. Now we have persons who cannot access information, like the deaf. They cannot access information on television. On radio. The deaf cannot access information on radio because they are deaf. Then the blind also cannot see information on television because they are visually impaired. They cannot read print. So there will be a lot of information. Now, in terms of persons with disabilities, they will be lagging behind in terms of information that will be provided by ECZ and other stakeholders. So let me take even this opportunity to implore ECZ and other partners who will be providing information to members of the public in terms of the coming 2026 elections, that information is power. It should be put in accessible formats so that every person, whatever disability that he or she might have, should receive that information so that he or she is able to make informed decisions. So that is extremely important. And then also, political parties. Political parties have got a very low, of course, these days, because of awareness, at least the situation is changing, but it is still there. We haven't reached there. Political parties have been failing to adopt persons with disabilities for different positions, be it MP, be it at councillor level. They would think these will be difficult to sell. That they will, if they nominate a person with a disability, it means they will fail. That person will fail. They will lose that seat. So political parties, please, persons with disabilities have capabilities. They've got the potential. They've got the abilities. They're able to articulate issues. Can you involve them in all decision-making by all decision organs of the party? Adopt them. See what they can, what they are able to do in your political parties. Because you may not know.
Okay, so on that same one.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Mr. Chanda, on that one. Yeah, because we have a question that we would want to talk about, especially right. Madam Dongo. Yeah,
sure.
I don't know. Madam Dongo, maybe you can also take that one also after that, Mr. Chanda. How can policymakers ensure that the voices of people with disabilities, persons with disabilities, are heard in decision-making processes?
Thank you. The way this can be done is by making sure that we are engaged, employed, and of course, we share whatever challenges that we go through, because once they do not know, then it will be very difficult for them to be able to involve us. So this is why they are supposed to make sure that they have focal point desks that will deal with issues that have to do with all that everybody needs, starting from education, health, social aspects, economic aspects. So if they do not involve us, then they will not know how to help us. So this is why I'm saying that they must make sure that we are there in their space, in their face, so that we tell them the challenges that we have, we tell them the needs that we have, we remind them of the rights that we have in all these things, because we have the right to education, we have the right to health, we have the right to accommodation, we have the right to employment. We have the right to have a social life. This is where the same challenges we were talking about earlier trickle down to even accessibility of where we want to go. How accessible is that office in terms of environment? Do they have the ramps? Do they have the rail for somebody to hold on to when they probably somebody is using clutches? So if they don't provide all these things, then already the barrier and challenge starts from getting into that office. So once they make that place accessible, reasonable accommodation is provided, then they should ensure that we have policies that will even make sure that persons with disabilities are employed in these spaces, so that they are the ones, as Mr. Chanda said, omuchele okufinda bamufira ku usendele. So nothing for us without us. So when you do not give us that power to be able to be in that space, it literally means you're taking away that power from us before we even come to you to explain to you what the challenges that we face. So we need to be employed, that is one. We need to be heard. And then the enforcement of all these issues is what is lacking. Because you will find that policies are there, but the enforcement is not there. And why is the enforcement not there? It is because the people that are there don't really know or feel or even understand. But as we said, because of the awareness that we are bringing out in all spheres, this is coming to almost, I mean, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not moving fast. This is why we have come up with, even now, the organization which Mr. Chanda mentioned, the Persons with Disability Political Dialogue Network, which is talking about us coming into the space of the political arena, so that we should be in that August House come 2026, August 13th, that persons with disabilities will also be there now to enforce these policies, because members of parliament are the ones who come up with policies with the help of local government through the councillors. We get to know what the people want, and then it's brought up to parliament, and that way we will be able to have a level balanced space where everybody is going to be treated equally. If all these things were there, this outcry would not have been there. This is why perhaps you find in developed countries, some developed countries, why is it that persons with disabilities are not blowing this trumpet of wanting to be in the space of decision making? It is because they have looked into most, if not all, the issues that affect persons with disabilities. So we have realized as persons with disabilities that we should be there now to help them champion this cause that will also include persons with disabilities to be included in everything that affects us, and then everything will be smooth. Thank you. Yeah.
Just moderator to just add on what my able colleague has said. Policymakers have to listen to us. Every ministry, be it health, education, transport, has to have a program for persons with disabilities. There is no need for me to go to the Ministry of Community Development when I need the education. What does the Minister of Education have to do with the, what does Minister of Education, Minister of Community have to do with education? If I want transport, should I go to the Minister of Education, Minister of Community Development? If I want things to do with agriculture, can I go to the Minister of Community Development? If I want things to do with the infrastructure, how is that related to Ministry of Education? So each ministry has to come up with a program for persons with disabilities, to support persons with disabilities, because disability is a cross-cutting issue. It cuts across all the ministries. That is why every ministry needs to have a program on how they are going to be dealing with the persons with disabilities. I cannot go to Ministry of Community Development when I need transport or when I need something to do with infrastructure. In fact, let me state this point. The major problem that government has made is to put disability issues under the Department of Social Welfare. There is a serious discrepancy, a serious mismatch. The Department of Social Welfare is, so to say, it deals with charity, things to do with social cash transfer, things to do with the food security pack. So that is a charity department. Now, disability, we are talking about human rights. In this is 2026. We are persons with disabilities. We are not objects of charity. We have to be given things because we deserve them. No one should give us because they feel pity on us. No. This time we are following the human rights model, that persons with disabilities are also entitled to what others are entitled to. Now there is a mismatch. Social welfare department under the Ministry of Community Development, that's where disability issues are placed. There is a huge mismatch. How can the Department of Social Welfare know what I need in education, in infrastructure, in transport? In other countries, disability have been put where they've got such positions under the Ministry of under the office of the Prime Minister, where they've got such positions in other countries. Then in other countries also, disability issues are put under the office of the President. because they know disability are cross-cutting issues. They must be coordinated from a central point of view, so that if it is health, the Prime Minister in countries where they've got such a position, or the President can just call somebody, the Minister of Health, to say, oh, these people, what program do you have for them? So disability is a cross-cutting issue, and we don't like
okay,
that
sorry,
it
sir.
is.
That's true. Thank you so much, Mr. Chanda, on that one. So first of all, we'd like to encourage our viewers out there who are watching us to feel free and bring in their points and suggestions, because we have this nice and interesting topic that we are discussing.
Sure.
So now, Mr. Chanda,
sure.
we want to ask you
sure.
about what important or how can technology be leveraged to enhance participation for individuals with disabilities?
Yeah, this is 2026. Thank you very much, moderator. Thank you so much. This is the 21st century, and this is 2026. Technology is playing a very important role in easing the lives of persons with disabilities. Because with technology, you are able to do everything. With technology, I'm able to order anything that I want, either from a supermarket, from anywhere. With technology, I am able to, I cannot even employ a personal assistant. I can just use technology, is able to be there for me. In fact, let me appeal to the Ministry of Science and Technology. They should not leave persons with disabilities behind when it comes to technology, because that is a ministry that is mandated to deliver technology in Zambia, especially people, learners with disabilities who are in a school. This is the first thing they should consider, to equip them with technology so that they are able to live independent lives. Without technology, they will never be able to live independent lives. They will be able to depend on other people. With technology, one is able to read on his own without employing anybody to read for himself or herself. With technology, one is able to do anything, like cooking. With technology, one was able to talk, to discuss with other people, and everything. So let me employ. There are a lot of different softwares and different softwares that persons with disabilities need in order to ease their ways of life. And I want to implore the Ministry of Science and Technology that those in schools, that should be the starting point, so that once they grow up, they should grow with that technology so that they live independent life. In fact, grown-up adults with disabilities, why they are not very much independent? Because they are not availed with technology. Because then technology was in its infancy stage. Technology was not very ripe. Now we have technology at our disposal. So if I want to read, why should I even employ another person? I should be able to read on myself as a visually impaired person. We have equipment that can cater for persons with visual impairment. We've got equipment and softwares that can cater for persons who are hard of hearing. We've got equipment and softwares that can cater for persons who are deaf. So technology is key because it is able to ease the lives of persons with disabilities so that they are able to live independent lives. In fact, let me take this opportunity, Mr. Moderator, to call on the Ministry of Science and Technology to have a meeting with us, persons with disabilities, so that we are able to tell them what we need in terms of technology. We need technology very much. In fact, we need it more than those without disabilities, because those without disabilities, they've got all parts of the body. They've got no impairment. But us who are disabled, we've got impairments, and we much more rely on technology to live independent lives.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much on that one and the explanation. So let's look at Madam Dongo. Yeah. Are there some examples you can tell us, successful examples for inclusion of individuals with disability in national decision making? Do you have some examples?
Yeah, yes, I can point out a few. But allow me to just add on to what my colleague has just been talking to in terms of technology. I'd like to just echo the point of how the Ministry of Technology, Science and Technology is handling this issue. First and foremost, let me speak more for persons with disabilities. I strongly feel that persons with disabilities have, particularly the visually impaired and the hearing impaired, have not really been considered, because technology has just come. But the way everything has just been done, it has not been done gradually. Where you talk about, we are talking about e-payment now. But when you look at the mode of technology to do some of these payments, these services like even tax, even learning, one needs to have a smartphone. But then when you look at the availability in terms of affordability, in terms of the cost, most of persons with disabilities, we cannot afford that. So this is where I'm now going to also echo to that ministry to please avail these gadgets to be as affordable as possible. Because most of us are being left out because we cannot afford. I cannot afford that smartphone. And it now becomes a bigger expense because I have to use a third person to do all these Zampoto things. And then when you look at the children, every day children are going home saying that I've got homework, but the homework, the teachers are now using these same gadgets of sending homeworks on smartphones. And how many people can afford those phones? And when you even just do a survey, how many people in Zambia have smartphones? And yet you have just said now everything has to be done on the Zampoto. Every homework has to be done on the phone. How many people in Shangombo, how many people in Luingu can afford to have their children have their homework done on a phone, on a gadget? When you have not even subsidized some of these things, you have not even deliberately made sure that persons who cannot afford are given these gadgets. And when you even talk about, I'm just ending on this one, when you talk about even the social cash transfer, I myself have been one of the people who have been championing persons with disabilities to be on those lists. Whenever I hear about it on radio, I'll make sure we have our own network where you get to tell people, okay, they are in this area now, please tell as many people to go and register. But when you look at persons with vision impairment, they have now changed to say people should be paid through the phones, which is a good thing, because when you look at even security, you find that there's that aspect of where people were getting cash. But now if they're going to get it on their phones, the type of phones most people have do not have what we call talkback. I have more than 5 people who have come to me because I do coordinate all these issues, where they have said they have been told a different amount of what has been sent to them. Sometimes they've been told it hasn't even come. Why? Because the phone that they have been given. Yes, the government did a recommendable thing. I think it's about 2 years ago. They did give those little phones to people who are on social cash transfer. But they forgot to realize that the visually impaired would have needed a talk-back phone. So you see, already there are those who are having their money is stolen, so to say. Unfortunately, you find that it is even sometimes, and usually it is a family member who is doing that. But we are speaking to technology. So there's a lot that should be done in that area. Subsidize and just make sure everybody is given these things, if anything, even freely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, Madam, sorry, my colleague. Sorry. In fact, let me emphasize this point that I forgot. Banks, banks, they should use technology so that persons who are visually impaired cannot go with an assistant. They should be able to do things on their own. Because this time there is technology that can make persons who are visually impaired operate an ATM, operate everything, do everything. So why should they go with an assistant? So banks, the Bankers Association of Zambia, let me appeal to you. Bankers Association of Zambia, can you ensure that all the banks in Zambia have got the appropriate technologies that will ensure persons with visual impairment access services without the help of an assistant? Because these technologies are there now. This is 2026. This is 2026. We don't need an assistant. A person with a disability can be in the home and use banking facilities. So banks, please, the Bankers Association of Zambia, please make sure that all the banks, they've got the appropriate technologies that will enable persons with visual impairment access the services freely without the aid of an assistant. And they should also be oriented. Yes. Now, on the issue, moderator, that you asked, on the representation of persons with disabilities in decision making, this has been a cry for a long time by us, persons with disabilities. It has been a cry, as I said in the first place. We cannot make policies without persons with disabilities, because policies that they make, they also affect persons with disabilities. We are just happy about this constitution that has been reviewed. Now there is mixed member proportion representation. Of course, we had wanted to have a higher number of persons with disabilities in Parliament. We've been given 5. That is too low. As I was saying, Mr. Moderator, 15% of Zambians are persons with disabilities. That translates to 2.5 or 3 million. Now, if you only give 3 million 5 representatives, what is that? What is that? So the number is just too low. The number is just too low. We would have wished to see a number of persons with disabilities in Parliament to be around 12, 15. Yes, we would have said yes, at least now we are represented. Now 5 is just too low. And let me also appeal to the Electoral Commission of Zambia. When they start putting that criteria, they should make sure that different disability categories, like the visually impaired, the deaf, and other major disability categories are represented. It's not only one disability category that we want to see in Parliament, but we should see different disability categories. But well, 5, should just be the starting point. We want to have at least 12, 15. Yes, because 3 million, you cannot just give them the people 5. That is just that is a drop in the ocean.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all for those points. Due to time, we would have continued more. And viewers, we would also want to appreciate you all for your time that you have really had to watch and support this program. This has really been an interesting topic. We want to appreciate you, Mr. Chanda and Madam Dongo, and also viewers there, all those who feel they can support this program. Please, the program is so available. You can reach us on the number which is on the screen, which is 0974 75 8855. 0974 75 8855 is the number you can reach us on this program. It has been so nice, and on behalf of all the entire production crew, I've been your presenter for today, Brian Kachiza, saying thank you so much and see you next week on the same time, same place. Much love.